Hey everybody, this is Marian Cowagowan.
And this is David Owen.
And this is You Show Me Yours, the podcast where a married couple talks about the movies and TV that they loved before the first date. And today, I was made to watch Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes, indeed. Harry and the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons, of course, is the 1987 film directed by William Dear. William Dear also directed such great hits as An Episode of Dinosaurs, the television show, and Amazing Stories.
Not the mama.
Not the mama. And he also directed Angels in the Outfield, and he directed
another one I hadn't seen.
The Richard Grieco vehicle, License to Kill or License to Thrill. I don't know.
Man, Heartthrobs I had not thought about in 30 years.
So Richard Dear. He's still apparently directing to this day, but he's not going to go on the Mount Rushmore of directors that we're going to feature on the show. But
I didn't think so.
He's made a couple of bangers. The Angels in the Outfield, man, like
that slaps. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, it slaps. Oh man, So Harry and the Hendersons, star-studded cast.
It really is.
Yeah, really. The mom from A Christmas Story is in this.
Yeah, and looking much better.
Yeah,
better hair.
Yeah. I think intentionally. I think she intentionally looked.
Yes.
Put upon and.
Oh no, I'm sure that frump was on purpose.
Yeah.
That was purposeful frump.
Yes. John Lithgow, Don Amici is in this.
And my favorite, I don't know if you knew who he was, but David Suchet as the villain, who cracks me up because I know him as he played, I can't say it right, Hercule Poirot, the detective that I think was Christie detective.
Yes.
On PBS for like 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who it's Murder on the Orient Express, that detective.
That guy.
And he's very proper and would never hunt anybody. And so that's what I think of him as. And I know he's done a lot of Shakespeare and everything, but then I looked at his IMDb listing just now and he's done a ton of things.
Oh yeah. So
he's not as typecast as I had thought he was, but
he's got a lot of masterpiece theater on his IMDb.
He really does. But yeah, so it was hysterical to me to see him in this because he's very much not his type. He seems to play, well, in my experience, a lot of French influenced people, but he's actually British. So I don't know.
The fact that he also played, I guess Poirot's not, he's like Hungarian or something.
No, I think he's French or Belgian or something.
Belgian. I was going to say Belgian.
He lives in the UK. But I guess that's why they call it acting. So anyway, but that was my favorite part of this because he was very much. I hope he was having a lot of fun and not thinking, on Poirot, I get.
Yeah,
they don't have to get in the mud.
Jeez. Yeah. Emmett Walsh is in this for a minute.
Yeah, and
Kevin Peter Hall, who those who know will know. Kevin Peter Hall was Predator, and
then oddly, someone who was in the movie that we talked about last episode, Lainey Kazan, who was Tula's mother in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. We talked about her last time, and now she's in this as a not Greek but still a nosy neighbor. Like I think probably not too far off.
She's something
from Mrs. Portocalis. Yeah,
she's definitely got some. No, they're in Seattle, but she's like a New York transplant or Jersey transplant or something.
She's definitely a Yankee. Yeah. So, but just sort of nosy and obnoxious. So, right.
Yeah,
but so lots and lots of familiar faces,
chock full of people.
The kids, I've never seen them before.
No. The daughter didn't have much of a CV, an IMDb to speak of. She didn't have a picture, so I'm assuming she didn't continue to act. And I think the kid that played Ernie, the son, I think he was just like, hey, we need a sort of weirdy, nerdy-ish kid. Yeah. Put him in this.
And then as soon as he's not weird and nerdy looking, then he's of no use to anybody anymore.
He didn't make the transition.
Yeah.
So Harry and the Hendersons, the basic plot for that is the Hendersons meet a Bigfoot.
Pretty much.
It's pretty much. They hit a Bigfoot after coming home from vacation.
Yes, and hit like literally with the car.
Yes. And hilarity ensues. And everybody learns to love and be better people, except for George Henderson's dad,
Yeah, I kind of want to see the sequel there, where George goes to therapy to deal with his father's general douchiness.
Yes. George is the John Lithgow character, and Emmett Walsh plays his dad, George Sr., I think it is. Yeah, and there's a very sort of, he owns a outdoor sort of shop that sells a lot of guns, and George just wants to, draw for a living or whatever, and he's very, there's a deep relationship to explore here in a different movie.
Yes, I was kind of like, where is this coming from? And you're only just scraping the surface of this. This is a lot to put in here if you're not going to go deep in it, and for a kid's movie too. So I sometimes you're like, what part of the writer's life was this mining?
Yes, yeah.
This is somebody's life story. I mean,
for sure.
Don't know about it.
So Harry and the Hendersons really is one of those classic 80s, what they would call kids movies. Family movies, I think was the name. And there were a ton of these. And I watched a lot of these with my mom. And this was the sort of thing you could put on before you had a channel that you could just turn on that would entertain your kids, or put them in front of a YouTube or whatever. Mm-hmm. These were the kind of movies that you kept around in the VHS case, and you threw it on when you needed to distract your kids for 2 hours.
Yeah. Or this would be like the 7 o'clock Sunday on this 7 o'clock Sunday movie on one of the networks. Like, it's a family movie. It'll be fine.
We're just going to bleep out the word shit 8 times.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So there's some beeping out, but it is at its heart a kids movie. So we decided to get ourselves a kid to watch it with.
Mm-hmm. Yes. If you've paid close attention, you know that we have a 10-year-old, and we took this opportunity to watch the movie with him because we thought that he would enjoy it just on his own. But he's been asking if he could be on the podcast, so we said, "Sure, come on and tell us what you think."
And so here's our son, William.
Hello. My name is Will, and I love video games. That's something about me.
That's a good intro.
Yeah. Thank you.
But we got you off of the video games to watch this with us. So what did you think?
I liked the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you know this came out when I was your age?
Okay, that's cool.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yes, that is very cool.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
All right. Well, so what was your favorite part? What did you like the best?
I liked at the end of the movie when Harry went, like, I think no or something. He actually said a word.
He said okay.
He said okay.
Yeah, I said okay.
He said okay.
Yes. And I also like I like when the dumpster flew off the truck.
Right. Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a movie that I saw when I was about your age as well. You know, yeah. I'm not quite as old as your mother. But,
okay.
But I saw this when I was about your age, and I watched this many times. This was one of the movies that it got put on at my daycare a lot, like the summer daycare. But they really just mainly showed 2 movies. But every now and then they'd pick up something else. So Harry and the Hendersons was one that we watched a few times, and then there was also a television show of this movie.
What?
I don't know what I don't know what the surrounding story elements are, but somehow he gets back with the family.
Okay, I thought I remembered something like that. I'm glad you said that. So
is it like what Harry's doing, like all the crazy things he's doing while he's in their house?
Yeah, basically he, for some reason, he has to come back and actually live with the family. And then they have like 3 seasons of a television show where Harry lives with the family.
And my guess is they have to keep hiding him from the neighbors.
Right, the nosy neighbor and all this stuff.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that was not the only. There were a lot of shows that were kind of like that in the 80s, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Alf and Small Wonder.
And
yep. I feel like there were others.
Here's some magic thing, and we have to hide it from the neighbors.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I do like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Got the approval. Got the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what did you think about the actual Harry costume? Like, was it convincing?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it's really really convincing costume, like the fur and the articulation on the face, the way it moved and everything. Yeah, and that's really important when you're in a movie like this, because you could really get taken out of the movie if it was like a bad puppet or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do they actually like make Harry? Like
Well,
a human or something?
So yeah,
Like
there's a human inside. Kevin Peter Hall is his name, and he was a very tall young man who was in a lot of movies. I believe he died, unfortunately, at a relatively young age. I don't remember though, but he was in a lot of movies when they needed a big old tall guy, and so he was in the suit most of the time. There was a special effects creator named excuse me, I almost said Stan Winston, Rick Baker, who made the actual costume and made the animatronic and stuff. And he actually has said to this day, he still makes special effects for movies, and he said to this day this is his favorite thing. He thinks it's his greatest accomplishment, the hairy animatronic head and the suit and the whole deal, because it sells it 100%, because if Harry wasn't a good animatronic, or the face is animatronic, if it wasn't a good costume, like, you wouldn't buy it. But like, he really gives some real emotion, right? Yeah, like, you really get, they can't hear when you nod.
Okay.
He gets some good emotion. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was probably, there were probably cables and wires coming out of the leg of it, going to like 6 or 7, maybe even 10 or 12 puppeteers off camera,
Mm-hmm.
who were, manipulating little gizmos and gadgets to make the face move. And, they all have to like practice for weeks and weeks and get all their it's like a team sport almost. They have to all get in sync, and one guy's controlling the eyebrows, and one guy's controlling the nose, and one guy's controlling the upper lip and the lower lip and the bent, the tongue, and all these different things. So yeah, it's a really complex thing to bring a character like that to life, and for it to be really convincing.
Mm-hmm. And I think now they would just do all of it with motion capture and CGI, right? So some of the art is gone.
Yeah.
Which is a little kind of too bad.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there's this movie, and there's a few others. E.T., which is one we might do that you might watch with us too.
Mm-hmm.
Where the movie only works if you really can relate and feel empathy, really feel for, because Harry's really good at that in this movie. He's really good at making you feel sorry for him, making you feel his fear when he's afraid. Yeah, and the animatronic, the puppet head, really ties into that.
Right, and I know that when they showed a shot of his feet,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it was just like they just used like the lower half of like the costume or something.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
Not like took all like the wire things out for the head.
Yeah, well, what you'll find in I was really interested in special effects when I was around your age and a little older. So I ended up actually watching a lot of like behind the scenes stuff on movies and stuff. They'll actually make a special costume or prop just for a specific scene. So
Wow.
They would have like the walking around feet that the actor is wearing, and then they would have then those would be made for comfort and for him to be able to actually walk and get a good grip and not slip around. And then they would have close-up feet. I think in the movie industry they call them hero props. Mm-hmm. So when you need to look at something close up, so a guy might walk around most of the time with a plastic sword that's painted to look very realistic, or rubber sword that's painted to look very realistic, but when you need it in a close-up shot, it'll be a real metal sword, and that'll be called the hero sword. But he wouldn't carry a 5 or 10 pound metal sword all the time. Same thing with the feet. When the feet need to be in a close up, they would do a little hero feet. They'd have a little separate set of feet, I guess.
Yeah.
That they would do.
I feel like I've seen that before. It's like someone was like made to be dressed very fancily. That's a new word I just created.
I like that.
And like they're wearing like high heels, like they're supposed to be wearing. They're like uncomfortable shoes, but they're actually wearing like slippers or something.
Yeah.
But when their feet are in the camera, like if like they fall or something, then they would actually be like the actual shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So then that's somebody's job to watch the movie and say, "Oh, wait a minute, she wasn't wearing the heels in this shot is great, but when you see the feet, we see she's not wearing heels." So then that's somebody's job to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they miss something. We call that continuity.
All right.
So
Will,
do you think
anything
that?
else?
Yeah. Do you think that parents that are listening to this should show this to their kids?
Yeah, but there's a few bad words in it.
We noticed
Yes.
that more than I expected for a PG
Yeah,
rating.
When it first started, it said like adult language, and I was like, okay, this might just be a few words.
Yes.
It was kind of a lot, but did it? Yeah. So how did you feel about that? Because you're 10, like you have heard some words here and there, but you don't curse yourself. So
sometimes like when I just hear it, I'm like, okay, what?
that was unnecessary. Yeah.
No, or I just don't react like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and in the movie, the kid got to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Ernie, did you relate to Ernie? What did you think? Is he a guy you'd be friends with? He was kind of wacky and crazy,
Yes.
and he yelled and acted crazy a lot.
Yes.
You think you guys would be friends?
Yes.
He'd probably be on Roblox with you.
Okay.
You guys would act crazy, make YouTube videos or something.
Yeah. Oh, I think he'd be very into YouTube.
No, it's
yeah.
like I'm like, hi guys, welcome back to Radiant Candy, and then he's like,
oh,
That's good. That's a good impersonation.
Is that what he would do?
no, like going like
He would just come out with all the bad words.
No, like
He would just
like
go whoa or
I'm
say
like,
crazy things.
hi guys, like that, or like a crazy-ish voice. Like yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Will, any closing thoughts on Harry and the Hendersons?
I really like it. The parents, you can show this, but maybe when there's curse words coming up, or like watch it before and then know where curse words, like make a noise. So
distraction.
Yeah, the distraction.
Okay.
Like when there's a violent thing, you put your hand over someone's eyes so they don't see it.
Yeah.
Like don't cover their ears, just go blah 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 blah, but loud.
Maybe we can have a home,
Noise.
beep.
Yeah. To make a beep
sometimes
noise.
they just play a beep over the words, so you don't hear the word. Like oh, that was a bad word they just said, but I didn't hear what word.
Right.
So parents could do that at home.
Yeah, just
like
record a beep sound and then just play it.
Play it back.
Yeah.
Like a,
that's a thought. That's a thought.
Like just get them like a little MP3 player, hook the headphones up to their ears, and then whenever it's play the noise.
Yeah.
I like this. You got it all thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So, all right. Well, do you want to say bye?
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
And okay, we're back from that little jaunt into 10-year-old land.
Yeah. Thanks, Will, for coming on. That was fun.
Wonderful. Great job. So yeah, let's get down to it. Harry and the Hendersons.
So I had not seen this before. I had thought that this was more about him living with them. I think because I had seen the trailer a couple times, and I think I probably saw the scene where they're all like drying his hair and various other things. I didn't realize that there was this whole hunting.
Right. Yeah.
Plot.
The whole thing. Yeah. It is actually very little Harry living with the Hendersons.
Yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons. It's like,
it's not so much and.
Yeah. Yeah. Not for most of the movie. So yeah, it actually spun itself into a television show that ended up exploring what you are talking about, the actual ins and outs. Basically, someone was like, "Hey, that Alf is doing all right."
Right. Let's do that, except with a bigger critter.
What if Alf, but the inverse of Alf? And so they did, and I did watch it. I can't remember anything about it.
Was it the same cast?
It's not.
Okay.
Kevin Peter Hall comes back as Harry I don't know for the whole run, but definitely in the beginning.
Yeah.
He's back for that. And then nobody else is the same.
Mm.
All of the cast is different. I don't remember, because spoilers for an hour from now, Harry goes off into the wilderness to live with his kind at the end of the movie. And I don't know how they get him back. I don't know what the story conceit was.
Do the other ones ever show up? Yeah, I don't know.
And
okay, well, we got to do some research then.
Of course, you will have just heard us talk about this with our son, Will, but, we're retreading the ground that needs to be retread in order to make things work. We start out in the woods. We are gonna father son bonding. We're gonna make a man out of our son Ernie, our weird son Ernie.
Good luck.
Who's 100% cast as like a bookish nerd, but is also obsessed with guns and killing things. I don't think so
bookish. I just think a nerd.
Yeah.
He wears glasses, which in the 80s was code for bookish, but 100%. He's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so it's a nice family camping trip, and you kind of it's a good opportunity to get introduced to all these characters, and you're kind of getting the idea. It's your typical dynamic, it's the too cool for this teenage sister and the put upon mom who's just trying to keep everything together.
Yeah.
Which, that's right in Melinda Dillon's wheelhouse.
Can I just, the thing that made me howl at the beginning is, so they were doing what in the 80s passed for glamping because they had a generator. And
yes.
She said, George, the dad, makes some reference to, we're roughing it. And she says, the only part that was roughing it is when the generator went out during Masterpiece Theater, which is very on the nose for me because Masterpiece Theater was big in my house growing up. And then, of course, the David Suchet, which is totally just random.
And of course, they're Seattle yuppies out here for, camping in the wilderness. Yeah. And they had every convenience.
Yeah. That's a gorgeous house. Can I be that kind of yuppie? How can they afford that house
George works, is the only one that works, and he works at his father's outdoor supply store.
Yeah, that's not going to afford that house.
They somehow afford a luxurious house in the Seattle suburbs with a pool.
No, the pool is their neighbors.
Oh, the pool is their neighbors. Oh, okay. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. But it's still a really nice house. Maybe Seattle at the time was not as expensive as it is now, but it's a cute house.
This is the third or fourth time that we've encountered this, and not the last, where a white family in the 80s just somehow is affluent, even though nothing about that makes sense.
Yeah. Don't ask questions.
Yeah. Don't ask questions.
Yeah. Sort of like Kevin McAllister's father. Like, what did he do?
Exactly. Because they have that mansion of a house.
Yes. They bought it just when they just got married. The market was low.
Right. Just a
hand wave.
Just a $10,000 loan from her parents on their wedding day, and they were able to buy that $15,000 shack that appreciated.
And then they fixed it up over time. And then Harry comes and destroys all their work.
Right. Yeah. So they hit Harry, bam, with their car, and there's a whole back and forth. Like, this goes on way too long.
It really does.
They hit him, and then. Oh, what is it? Is it a bear? Is it is it some kind of a muskrat? I don't know, whatever. Yeah. And they go out and he goes out, and George goes out, John Lithgow, and he pokes it with a gun, and it's like, you see his hand, and like, that's a human looking hand. And they realize he's still alive, or he's dead, or I don't know. And they're like, we should bring him to civilization for a museum or something. And they put him on the top of the car, and then he falls off the top of the car again when he wakes up and is still alive, and surprises them by peeking through the windshield. And
then he falls and he passes out again.
Right. And then they put him back on the car again, and they drive him again. So it's just like, you could have done this once.
Yes.
Like,
you didn't need
you're going, and it's indicative of the pacing of a movie from the 80s, which, would have been blistering paced versus a movie from the 60s.
Yeah.
But now that we're looking at this movie, 30 years later, it's the pacing is like, okay, if you wanted the gag, you could have done the gag with less, rigmarole tied to it.
Yeah.
So, we're on the road back home, and we get home, and
so at this point they assume he's dead, right? And they're bringing him back for it's unclear, proper burial / museum /
they're going to sell him. I think they've got some kind of dumb plan,
Yeah.
And
it is funny, though, at various points, George says things like, oh, this is going to make us a lot of money. We could be rich. And I'm like, look at your house.
You're already
doing
rich.
So bad. I mean, I think that's a modest house, but it's a very nice, modest house. So I am not thinking that this family has money problems, but
Right.
everybody always wants more money.
Well, but
so,
yeah, and in the 80s, that was such a thing.
That's true.
Everybody was just waiting to strike it rich, for something to come along, whether it was the lottery or whatever, and they were just going to strike it rich because everyone was going to have $1 million and they were going to be set for life because they had $1 million, which seems crazy now that people used to think
take $1 million.
Oh no, I'd take $1 million in a second, but all I would do with it is put it into my retirement account, and nothing else would change because that's only enough for me to retire at like 65 and live on for the rest of my days or whatever, and pay off my house and yada yada yada. Like, it's not
reality.
Yeah, like when I was watching this movie when it came out, like $1 million was, I wasn't Publishers Clearinghouse only giving away like $10 million or something.
Oh, I don't know.
And that was just supposed to be like it. And
astronomical.
Don't get me wrong, I take $1 million.
Yeah. Anyone who's listening,
do you have $1 million?
Wink.
So come to find out, Harry isn't so dead, right?
Yeah, he's apparently Bigfoots, when they are passed out, they don't breathe and they don't have a pulse, and they're very cold.
Not in the place that a human does, yes, and they're very cold.
Yeah. Yes, to John Lithgow's credit, he had done all the checks that you would do on a human, and it was not quite so crazy to think that Harry's dead, but he wasn't.
So Harry immediately sets about, he's hungry, right? So he immediately sets about trying to feed himself, and he's just destroying the kitchen, and he's got the refrigerator turned over.
I thought this brought me back to when we talked about Gremlins. He's a Sasquatch. How does he know to go in the house? How does he know that there's food in this metal box?
Yeah. How
How does he know that milk is food? Like, but okay, whatever.
Well, Harry is there's a theme in this movie that Harry's either lack of understanding or understanding of how things works, and or his weight and his height are only problems when they are there for a gag or they serve a story purpose.
Otherwise not.
Right. So so he's confused by the idea that you would have like a mink stole animal skin but not confused by what a gallon of milk is.
Yeah. But it's okay. It's don't think about it.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
Don't think about it too much.
So anyway, what follows here is like the bread and butter of the, like, I would say trailer fodder, where Harry is like destroying the house and stuff. But if I remember, and I think I did see this when I was reading up on this movie, when they originally promoted this movie, they didn't really show Harry in the movie. They didn't make it clear that Harry was a Bigfoot and that this movie was about Bigfoot.
Oh, what did they market it as, if not?
I don't know. I would love to.
That seems to be the crux of the story.
Yes, 100%. Well, so much so. And so it underperformed in the American box office. And they thought it was because they promoted it. They weren't clear enough that it was a movie about Bigfoot. So in foreign markets, when they released it as Bigfoot and the Hendersons. So
do they know about Bigfoot in other countries?
I don't know.
That seems.
I don't know. Yeah, do well, or maybe they change it to their like
whatever
local colloquial, because everybody has a
Yetis are essentially the same, and I forget what else.
Everybody has a hairy man in the woods type or on the mountain type myth. So maybe they just changed it like that. But this is the part where he gets to do all the things that you would put in the modern trailer. Mm-hmm. He busts through doors and breaks things, and he can't get through the doorway, so he pushes it up so that it's tall enough for him. Yeah,
I did enjoy when he shows he has some object permanence when the deer head is mounted on the wall, and he looks around to the back of the deer and like sticks his hand through and feels around for the deer's back, and there is none. And that was like a little infant psychology class right there.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it actually is kind of a good job at showing the intelligence that he possesses, that he's not a monster. And that's really the theme of the whole movie, that Bigfoot's not a monster. Yeah. And giving him these little moments to sort of show this as he learns different things and starts to kind of show his near human level, basic human level intelligence.
Yeah, like he has a burial they have a mink stole, the kind that has the head and the feet still on it, and he buries it.
Yes. because I guess in his world, he's like, this is a dead thing. Like we bury dead things.
Yeah.
And he, you see he's very sensitive. He wants to bury the deer head. And George, who, as you might imagine, his dad owning a hunting shop, is a hunter. Mm-hmm. And so it has a bunch of other things like a ram's head and a muskrat.
They had a lot. I didn't realize how much until, of course, that was the gag.
Right.
They're like, hide this from him. And it's like 25 things.
Yeah, like he hides it all in a closet, like cartoon style, pushing the closet door shut so that if it's ever opened again, everything will tumble out.
Which, of course, later it does. Yeah.
But yeah, this is just kind of your feeling out process. Mm-hmm. They're starting to realize that Harry's not going to kill him. And Harry's starting to realize that they're not going to kill him. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of little gags in here and good stuff. Yeah, I do like the deer head thing where he punches through the wall and he feels around for the deer.
That was pretty funny.
That's a really good one. And I'm trying to think, do I have any other favorite gags from this? Oh, when he eats the
the corsage.
The corsage.
Yes.
And then the daughter is just mad that he ate the corsage.
And she gets all in his face and she's not even, at that point, they're all a little bit scared of him. She gets in his face. Well, and she's like, that was my 15th birthday corsage. I saved that for 6 months. Yeah. I was like, how? What is this made of?
And she also says, I was going to have that for the rest of my life.
I was like, no, you weren't.
Do you still have your 15th birthday corsage, Marian?
Is that a thing, first of all? But no, I do not. Because, flowers do not keep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people press them and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe she was going to freeze it.
Even in the fridge, they don't keep. They just get limp and gross looking. And then it's just creepy. And they gather dust. And it's, no.
Yes.
So you're better off, Sarah. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Also, your wedding cake is not going to taste good a year after the piece that you saved or whatever.
We didn't do that because it was so good. We ate it.
Right.
I don't know if there was any left over. I don't know.
I don't think there was. We had a non-traditional sort of wedding.
Yeah.
So it was a small group and a small cake, and I think it all got eaten.
Which is good. Yeah.
I think so. This is kind of your wacky stuff. Your things getting crashed and destroyed. And speaking of wacky, here comes our wacky neighbor.
Yeah.
So they've basically been dealing with Harry. So George wakes up at 5 a.m, and they've been dealing with Harry, and now it's 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
they've been dealing with him all this time.
Monday morning, they got home on Sunday.
Yeah.
Can I say, that was apparently a long drive home because it took them all day. These are hardcore people that they didn't book themselves some time to recover from camping.
Right. Yeah.
Because I will camp. It's fine, but I need some time to recover.
At least one night, one like full day, not just one night.
Yeah, I cannot just get home from camping and go to bed and wake up the next morning and everything's fine.
Right,
but they're more experts at this than I am. So
yes,
yeah. So it's Monday and they've got to go to work and school and blah blah blah, and then this is not happening.
Yeah, and here comes their zany neighbor Irene, of Big Fat Greek Wedding fame, with their dog, their little like Jack Russell-ish dog.
Yeah,
he doesn't look exactly like the dog from Frasier, but he looks kind of like the dog from Frasier.
He's close, and a lot of mail. They got a lot of mail in like 2 days.
Yeah. Mail doesn't run on Sunday, so this is all for like maybe they left before the mail ran on Friday, so this is like 2 days worth of mail.
That was a lot.
Did we get a lot more mail back then? I guess like half of our bills are set to paperless auto pay.
Maybe letters and who knows. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So you get a whole slapsticky thing.
Don't let her see.
Don't let her see. Yeah, and she gets her 80s riff in about her. She's doing some kind of fad diet where she needs like Tabasco sauce and peanut butter.
What is it? Brewer's yeast. Yeah.
So she's a character, like just a fun comic relief. And I'm sure on the television show version of this, I'm sure she's whoever plays her.
She has an Edie McClurg vibe about her.
She's very nosy neighbor.
Today she would be played by Amy Sedaris.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, I'm imagining that now.
Yeah.
So they come to the conclusion pretty much that they can't really keep this Bigfoot. They understand, George actually kind of trains him to do tricks, to sit, and they kind of start to understand that
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. He's intelligent. He can't stay in their house. He needs to be in his own habitat. So they devise this plan to lure him with fish sandwiches into their station wagon so that he take him back home. And it doesn't work out. Ernie is saddened by the fact that his new friend Harry, who they just sort of unintentionally name Harry, George is about to say our hairy friend, and he gets interrupted. The friend part gets interrupted by something. And that causes it to just Ernie to say, "Did we name him Harry? His name is Harry." So then his name is Harry.
Yeah. So from fine.
On.
Yeah. A joke that will not work in other markets. So good thing that they did change the title. So
yeah. Well, yeah. In other markets, it's whatever the word for Harry is. And
which I don't think is. I don't know.
It's also not a name, right?
No.
So he runs away, and this is kind of the rest of not the final act, but sort of the middle third of the movie. Is this? It is, oh my God, Harry's loose in Seattle, but it's not as much of that and as good as you might think. It's mostly just him loose in the suburbs, seeing weird human things and not understanding them, and then getting spotted and running away.
Yeah. Well, and like some jokes that I was like, okay, this is going to pay off in a minute, and it never really did.
There's the one where he's watching the lady.
Yes,
she's cutting up vegetables and putting them into a pot of boiling water. Then she slowly lowers a chicken in.
She's like, it's like kind of erotic the way she does it. I was just like, oh, I don't.
And it's funny too, because she's like having to struggle with the layout of the stove to get it to work, because they clearly wanted this very like deliberate lowering in of the turkey, but the way that the microwave hangs over the stove, there's not actually enough room for her to do that. So she starts to do it and she gets kind of stuck, and then they go to a cutaway.
She's got to like pivot
close, zoom in of the turkey going in. But
also, that's not
chicken, whatever.
How you don't. Yeah, like that's not what you do for a whole chicken.
Oh, that's going to be a horrible. It's just a bunch of boiled vegetables and a completely unseasoned chicken just lowered into boiling water.
Yes, it's not as good of a gag, but roast the chicken.
Yeah, something. So the gag is that he looks over and he sees a hot tub that's bubbling in a similar way.
Yeah,
and then he sees a man lowering a somewhat rotund woman who is kind of shaped like the raw chicken into the water. And you're thinking like, he's going to run over there and like pull her out because he thinks this man's trying to cook her.
Yeah, something. And then nothing.
But then just some guy goes, "Hey, you, what are you peeping in that window for?" And he runs away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just. And
I laughed though at the, he gets into somebody else's house and is going through the fridge. Because I guess by this point he knows that's where food's in the fridge, and this woman comes down with these curlers in her hair and like very they went it's straight from central casting, if you will. Just they just said we need a suburban housewife waking up in curlers lady. Yeah.
Oh, we got just the one for you.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't have like a thick face mask on.
Right,
overnight.
That was the only thing she needed.
But so she comes down and she, for various reasons, thinks that it's a mouse.
She just sees his toe,
sees him, and faints. And then later, they're in the news reports. They're like, a man found his wife on the top of a car. And she said she must have been placed there by Bigfoot. And, but we know because Harry thinks that that's what you do when someone's injured is you put them on top of the car.
Right. When he was out, the family put him on top of the car. So he just assumes, someone's hurt. Humans put that person on top of the car.
Which is a very complex thought process, I have to say.
Right. And more of that, showing his intelligence. Kind of thing. So there's a whole lot that goes on. Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot, but there's various plot threads. We're introduced to the two sort of the dyad or the two sides of the Bigfoot enthusiast world. There's Dr. Wrightwood, played by Don Amici, who once saw Bigfoot and has sort of devoted his life to it to the point that he sort of wrecked his life, and he runs this sad little gas station that's also a Sasquatch museum. And
I got the impression that he's still doing it because that's the only thing he can do to make money, but he pretty much feels like this is a joke. It's not
that he's wasted his life, and that he's he gave up his job and assuming his family and whatnot in order to pursue this thing that he at this point in his advanced age coming to the realization that it doesn't really exist. Because the first thing that happens is LaFleur comes to him with some hair, and he's like, this is the real thing, and he plucks some off of a fake Bigfoot statue nearby, and he goes, I sell these for $2 a pop or whatever. And he's like, no, but it's the real thing. And he's like, Jacques, you're obsessed. I can't do this anymore. And so we're introduced to Jacques as well, who is the hunter who is tracking Harry And he has devoted his entire life. We don't get as much of his backstory,
No.
but he has likewise devoted his entire life to killing a Bigfoot, hunting and killing a Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, so just killing, right? Not stuffing, not
Well, I think
putting
probably
on
stuffing
display,
because
not,
he is. We the one thing we do learn about him is that he is a very accomplished trophy hunter.
Mhm.
Because there's a point where George Sr. tells George Jr. that Jacques bagged the very large grizzly that is in their shop stuffed. And he says, well, why would he just give up an amazing trophy like that? And M. Emmett Walsh says, because it was the smallest one. So we get this idea that he's
So what else
that's my
is he?
M. Emmett Walsh.
Sure.
He's great, right? I don't even know. Like, he's just a gruff old man.
Yeah.
So we get the idea that not only is he this accomplished hunter, but look at this huge bear, and this was the smallest of all the ones that he killed.
Yeah,
so,
I'm kind of like, what else is he? What else is bigger than a big bear? I don't.
Well,
I don't know.
I think that what he's saying is there were larger bears.
Oh,
like, this is
okay,
the smallest
okay.
of the grizzlies that he's bagged.
Sure.
That's why he gave them that grizzly.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he wants to stuff it. I think he's a trophy hunter
Yeah.
at heart. I think he wants to mount him.
When we have discussed LaFleur properly, I want to get back to the gun shop because
Sure. Well, I mean that's LaFleur is the other side of the coin on Bigfoot. He wants to kill it, whereas Dr. Wrightwood had only ever really wanted to just confirm its existence and wasn't really interested, never hunted it and wasn't interested in that, just wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, I really thought that it was going to turn that he was in it with LaFleur and he was putting on this facade, and then he was going to be like, haha, I fooled you, I'm going to take the Bigfoot and give it to, and it really didn't.
Suddenly he's also French and
sure.
Yeah, just like oh, LaFleur and me.
Twirl their mustache. But no, I thought he was going to turn out to be a villain, and he really wasn't. So that was good on you, movie, for
yeah, you've been trained to not trust people.
Right.
That appear too good to be true.
In real life, not. In movies, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we got Jacques and we got Dr. Wrightwood, and at a certain point, George actually goes to visit Wrightwood's little gas station museum, and the doctor doesn't even acknowledge that. He says, "Oh, the doctor's not here."
Doesn't he introduce himself as Jerome or something?
I don't know.
I thought it was a whole other, and I think that's it, because I thought he was using a fake name, and I thought, oh, this Wrightwood alias is just a facade to lure in people. I don't know.
Yeah,
I misheard, and then I created a whole other movie.
You're the one doing the extra reading into the movie.
Right.
Yeah. So, he goes to the museum, and Dr. Wrightwood he's pretending to be someone else. Like he's in so much as he's embarrassed, basically, because George starts talking, on more serious terms. Like at first he's like, oh, you're just a guy from the city. You don't believe any of this is all crap, right?
No, I do.
Yeah. And he finds out like he do. And then, George is doing the hypothetical. Like, I have this friend named Jack, and what if he wanted to have a Bigfoot live with him?
Yeah.
And really, Wrightwood's only thing is that he wants to just say, like, Bigfoot's not real. I chased him my whole life.
Yeah. Save yourself.
Save yourself the pain that I've endured. So those we're introduced to them. In the meantime, we come back to the shop. So what's going on at the?
So I gotta say, this is the most high end gun shop I have ever seen. Not that I've seen many gun shops in real life, but on movies, like they're wearing jackets and ties.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And there's the manager, which is George's dad, and then George, and then two other guys.
Yeah.
Like, and it's, downtown on Main Street.
Right.
Kind of, well, not in downtown Seattle, but it's on a busy street. We're in the South. All the gun shops here are like out on the country road. Nothing else around.
Not all of them.
Well, okay.
But
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's an outdoors shop. Like they sell other stuff besides guns. But yeah, there's no reason that you need 3 men manning the front, all wearing sport coats and ties.
It's very dressy.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, and I thought, I'm always seeing, modern themes in these old movies, but the whole, when George's father is like, oh, well, let's drum up some business. People are seeing Bigfoot, so we want to sell more
because
guns.
By now, Harry's loosened down, in Seattle, and there have been all these different reports, and people are starting to think like, oh, this could be real because there's just reports
and
everywhere.
People assume that it's dangerous, and a lot of those reports turn out to be inflated, but people don't care, blah, blah, blah. And George is like, we don't want to arm people because then they'll shoot first and ask questions later. And I was like, yes, I recognize this narrative. Okay. Yeah, and I don't really have a thesis on it, but it was like, the story stays the same.
Yeah, although his dad does answer, well, we know there's nothing for them to shoot at in the first place. But of course, George does know that there is something.
That there is. Yeah.
And this is the point where we get the little glimpse into the relationship here, the weird relationship of, there's a point where George says, all I wanted for Christmas was a set of paints and my dad gave me a BB gun.
Well, and then his wife says, just like you gave to Ernie. And I was like, wait, hold on. What? You just set up a whole labyrinth of plot.
This is a whole new...
That we're just going to ignore. Okay, sure.
Yeah. So anyway, his dad is like, George, you make the drawings, draw me a big Bigfoot.
Make him look scary.
Yeah. Make me a big Bigfoot. And yeah, fangs and claws and all this stuff. And he's like, what if that's not what he looks like? What if he's nice? And
he's not nice. Don't be stupid.
But George is like, this is the first time my dad's ever asked me to draw anything. And this is my passion and yada, yada. So, he's trying to draw a mean Bigfoot, but he can't. So he draws he draws kind,
Harry.
Gentle, hairy. And his dad, draws fangs and stuff on.
He says something like, "You're not the only artist in the family."
Not the only artist in the family. And I'm still working. I'm workshopping this M. Emmett Walsh impersonation.
I didn't know that he had made such a big impression.
He didn't. That's why I can't nail down an impersonation of him. I got to go study just hours of film on. I'm going to come back. He's got a little bit of little
Jimmy Cagney in there.
He's got something in there.
There are a lot of character actors where I know the faces and the names and the voices and whatever, and he is not one of them.
So when I think of M. Emmett Walsh, I specifically think of his role in Raising Arizona. He is the guy that is at the metal shop with him. That's Bill Parker, don't you understand? And he's walking down the highway, and he's got a head in one hand, and not that mother scratcher.
I don't remember
when he's
this
doing
at
the
all.
sheet metal. You don't remember this? It's great.
I mean, vaguely.
He's.
Remember, I've only seen Raising Arizona once, not 5,000 times.
So anyway, when he's working in the metal shop, M. Emmett Walsh is the guy that is standing there, talking to him and annoying him.
Oh, her dad, isn't he?
No.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, yeah. When he's drilling holes in sheet metal, M. Emmett Walsh is the guy that goes, Bill Parker, don't you understand?
Okay.
Not that mother scratcher. Anyway, M. Emmett Walsh, ladies and gentlemen. So,
this is the M. Emmett Walsh Appreciation Society. Man. Membership 1.
He's in this movie for 4 minutes of screen time max.
And Dave loved all of it.
I loved all of it.
Yeah.
Give me more. I want a whole M. Emmett Walsh. I want him in a one-man show doing every character that he's ever done.
Oh boy. Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So we got all these reports of Harry, and he's all around town, and finally, the family drama. There's all sorts of stuff happening. There's finally, George is realizing, man, that this creature had a real impact on me. He had a real emotional impact, his gentle kindness, and I've got to protect him. And he's out there all alone. And one of the guys at the gun store, because now at the outdoor store shop, call it a gun store, it's been mobbed by these people that are trying to get guns because they want to hunt him. And there's one guy in particular who's like, you got to sell me a gun. He was just spotted right by my house. And George is like, where? And he's like, why do you want my address? He's like, well, for the gun you're going to buy. And he gives him his address, and then George just runs off to go to this place.
There was I thought there was some reference to, well, you can't buy that. That's legal to sell you. And there's a waiting period and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, yes. When we tried to keep guns away from people who shouldn't have them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
relics of bygone days. Anyway, So George races over to where Harry's been sighted, and it turns out that the guy was totally faking it. But he had seen him, but he was scared, and Harry was not nearly as vicious.
Yeah, the biker, it's a biker whose bike got smashed up, and he's telling this story about he appeared, and he was huge and snarling fangs, and he picked up my bike over his head with me on it and threw it to the ground. And George is listening to this, and of course he knows it's not true because he knows Harry.
He knows Harry.
And he pops in, and all the news cameras kind of catch him, and he's like, that's not what happened. I bet you just saw him, and you were so scared that you wrecked your bike, and he was more scared of you than you were.
Scared him, and he ran away.
Yeah,
and then the guy goes, yes, that's what happened.
It's all true. And the reporters are asking for his name, and he says, my name is George, and he kind of hesitates.
He's like, wait, no.
Like I probably shouldn't get any deeper into this.
Keep a low profile.
So they all start calling him Mr. Hen, come back. He runs away because he doesn't want to divulge anymore. Like, how do you know so much? How did you know that the Bigfoot was gentle?
Yeah.
And, he runs away. And then there's Harry is still getting tracked downtown. Now we got the cops going after him.
Yeah, so they're tightening the net a little bit.
Yeah. And Harry sees this news report on the television.
Yeah.
And,
it's in a TV store.
Yes.
A very specific TV store with like 24 TVs in the windows, all playing different news channels, which are all having stories on the same. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so he smashes in and he smashes through and sets off the alarm and he's like grabs the television and is like cuddling it because it's George's on it.
And then he walks away enough that it pulls it out of the socket. So of course the picture goes away, tosses that down, gets another one.
And he does that like 3 or 4 times. Like he does that at least 1, if not 2 times more than was necessary for the gag.
It is less funny each time.
Yes. Yeah.
So
at this point, like, everybody's, like you said, tightening the net. LaFleur is nearing him. All this, the citizen mob of amateur sportsmen.
Tricked out like Rambo.
Yeah. They all look like Rambo. They have headbands.
Like the belt of ammunition across and the crisscross. And it's a lot.
Yeah. They have the whole 9. And they're finally, they're tightening the net. And so Harry's trying to get away and the cops are there and all the people. And George he's heading down. He hears, I don't know what gets him down there. And he's looking for Harry and it's a whole like, not a Benny Hill thing, but like a Scooby-Doo chase where like, he passes by this way and then at the end of the alleyway, Harry runs by going the other way. And they do this whole thing, but the long and short of it is
he gets Harry.
That he gets Harry. He gets to the part where that Will said was his favorite, one of his favorite parts, where he actually gets him into, for some reason, a running garbage truck that is sitting there with a dumpster lifted up above the cab, and Harry is hiding in it, and that's where George finds him. Well, also LaFleur finds him, so. LaFleur goes up to try to get Harry and gets pulled into the dumpster and knocked out temporarily. When then George finds him in the dumpster and he's like, all right, I'm gonna drive away in this running garbage truck,
still elevated,
that I definitely don't know how to drive because I drive a station wagon, but I'm somehow gonna maneuver all these widgets and levers and
same gear shift, no big deal,
toggle things, and I'm gonna go. And so he drives off right as the police come in and everybody's chasing. The police are chasing and there's a whole thing with
it's a lot.
Yeah, there's just anyway, long story short, he slams on the brakes, the dumpster goes flying. Harry and George escape, leaving only LaFleur there to be arrested by the cops, I guess, for leading them on this chase or whatever.
Probably he's shot. He fired his gun, and that's,
whatever the charges were.
I don't know, but yeah. And there's been this whole joke all along about how Harry stinks. Well, LaFleur was also in the garbage with Harry, so whether it's Harry or the garbage that's making him smell, he stinks more. And so there's a shot of LaFleur pacing in the jail cell, and every other whoever, person who's being detained is on the other side.
Person until proven guilty is being detained.
And they are all pacing in a cluster exact opposite from him.
Right. They keep their distance. Yeah. It's pretty good. But yeah, so, we're kind of, we've got Harry back and we're kind of into the home stretch here. Right. So now they've got him. What are they going to do with him? Right. So, luckily for them, Dr. Wrightwood calls them. Right at this moment, and is essentially like, hey, remember this? You said,
whatever.
I'm here to help you or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, come have dinner. Come to our house and have dinner. Let's go. Come on.
So they're trying to hide Harry, although that this guy is sort of an expert on Bigfoot. So why would you need to? I don't really.
Right. Well, I think maybe it's just sort of like they're hiding him from the initial, shock of seeing him. They were going to like ease into it or something.
Sure.
So they're kind of covering up all the holes in the house and all that crap. And he comes in and they have a nice little dinner and there's a couple nice little gags in there. There's one where they say, oh, we're having a roast. And then they go to...
wait, no, we're not.
George is like, oh, let me get the roast.
It's in a shallow grave in the backyard.
Harry found the roast and buried it.
How do you recognize roast beef as an animal? I don't.
Probably smelled
I don't know.
it, like
maybe. Yeah,
I don't
That's
know.
true. That's true.
But anyway, so Wrightwood gives his speech, which is, we kind of alluded to it earlier, which is just stop. Like, there's no such thing as Bigfoot. It is, you're going to waste your life. You're going to lose your family and your job. He's talking to George. And the whole time, Harry is slowly walking up behind him to the point where...
And everybody's just giggling.
They just all start giggling. And he's like, what? What are you laughing at? And he turns around and, there's Harry. And he's, like in an instant, his life has worth.
Right,
and, he hasn't wasted his life because it is real and it's everything. It's this gentle thing that he always thought it was. And this would be the point where he would turn if he was going to.
Yeah, I was expecting that the whole time, and it was not. It was like, okay, we're doing the other thing.
He didn't turn, no.
Yeah.
So he's immediately like, they're all immediately like, we got to get him. We got to save him. We got to get him out of here. And that gets us into really our final act, so to speak, where they immediately, they don't immediately. They're like, well, we got to wait till the morning. So Harry makes his little nest, which I think was an interesting thing because that was always a thing that you heard about, because today you take Bigfoot for granted that it's a crypto whatever, and you take it for granted. But like in the 80s,
crypto whatever. What do you mean?
Like the whole like cryptozoology is the study of like all of these cryptids. Cryptids is the word.
Okay.
It's a cryptid. It's like this. It's this creature that exists outside of the bounds of science, and we just haven't confirmed it yet because of all these reasons. But one of the things that they always said that they would find are these nests where they would make like these nests out of twigs and stuff.
Okay.
So it's funny that he goes and he kind of makes himself a nest as they're getting ready to sleep. Because prior to around about this time, my two main sources on Sasquatch would have been this movie,
right,
and the MacGyver episode.
There was some MacGyver about this. Oh no, I missed that one.
There is a Sasquatch MacGyver episode.
Oh my god, I miss MacGyver, by the way. That was good TV.
I never heard if the reboot was any good. But
I can't imagine
it just couldn't be. It could be good, but it wouldn't be the same.
Not as good. No.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be the same. But yeah, so those were kind of my two sources. And then after this was when you sort of had the explosion. All the alien stuff started blowing up even more, and the Bigfoot stuff, and you had people literally, dragging Loch Ness for the Loch Ness Monster, and all this like pseudo cryptozoology science stuff.
I'm
popped
assuming
up.
there was an X-Files episode on.
Sasquatch. Yeah. Probably more than one. Yeah, probably more than one. So all these that was my information, but I'm pretty sure in both of those he made a nest. So I was just like a nice. It was a nice nod that like, well, at least they're kind of consistent in their mythology. Yeah. With this. And they all sort of sleep up there with him in his nest. The Ernie, the kid, the annoying kid. I feel like we've not given Ernie his fair shake during this. Ernie is just always there with a quip, and always annoying his sister.
A large dirty word vocabulary.
Yes, several times. He's responsible for like fully half of the curse words. Yes. I think that are in the movie.
Yeah, I think he's probably about 10.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. And Will was like, "Wow, we were like, don't get any ideas. No.
Okay.
At least not around us.
Yeah, whatever. You do it when I'm not around. You can't stop you. So anyway, the first thing in the morning they're off, but LaFleur has also discovered them, so they have to make this daring escape, and a weird chase down the Seattle freeways. There's a funny bit where a police car comes through and it's wailing, and Harry hears it and he starts wailing, and that makes
the cars just move.
Yeah, they move because they think it's a But anyway, they get out here to Mount Rainier, where they're going to drop Harry for some reason. This is safe or safer than the woods he was in before. I don't know. And
Don Amici for some reason says that this is the place. Yeah. To
and maybe this is all I can think is that this is the place he saw his Bigfoot. Maybe, and that's why he's bringing him back here.
So we're not supposed to think that the one he saw 50 years ago was Harry.
I don't know. I mean, you wouldn't think so.
I kind of thought it was going that way, but then it never. I don't know why. I guess just that's the Chekhov's gun of Sasquatch. You see one 50 years ago, it's the same one now.
Yeah. because we do learn that they all basically look the same.
Yes.
At the end of the movie.
Yes.
So they get him back but they're in, LaFleur is in hot pursuit, and they get him back to the mountain, and they send him off, and they have to do this and I meant to ask Will if he understood this scene where basically Harry won't leave. He doesn't understand. Like, he's intelligent, but he's not intelligent enough to understand that he needs to leave
for his own good,
and he can't stay with the family. So George gets angry at him, is faking anger, and slaps him. Yeah. And that
we don't love you anymore.
Yeah, we don't want you. Go away. And he finally goes away, and everybody's given a very dramatic performance, and they're all sad that Harry's got to go, but he runs away after he slaps him. And then they're like, oh crap, there's snow on the ground, like the footprints, because they know LaFleur is behind them. They're like, it's footprints. He's gonna track him down. So LaFleur arrives, and when he arrives, all of a sudden there are tons of Bigfoot footprints.
He says, it's a herd.
It's a herd.
Mon Dieu, it's a herd. Imagine what's his face, Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. So you come to find out the family all has the plaster Bigfoot casts,
which I think I can't remember his character's name now.
Dr. Wrightwood.
Yeah, okay. I think he has all his memorabilia.
Right, he's got it.
Truck,
they bring him in his truck. Yeah, they bring Harry in his truck. And speaking of the truck, they do this gag, and I'm pretty sure they carried this gag through to the television show too. Is anytime Harry gets in a car,
he sits up straight.
He sits up straight, and it makes a hairy head-sized bump in the roof of the car.
Yeah, I was waiting for them to say "lie down," so A, you won't damage the car. B, no one will see you. But
so anyway, LaFleur's trying to track the herd, and
there kind of should have been more Benny Hill music for this. Actually, there were several parts of this where you
could have done.
That's my best Benny Hill.
That's not right at all, but that's as good as my M. Emmett Walsh impersonation.
We set the bar low for these things.
So basically, Harry, he sees George doing the footprints, and he realizes, he rubs his face, and he realizes oh, George is actually trying to help me. He sees that he's putting footprints down. George is trying to help me. And then he sees LaFleur in pursuit of George because he's tracking the footprints that George is making with a gun. And so Harry freaks out, and he jumps down, and there's a confrontation which involves LaFleur tossing the family dog.
Yeah,
because one of the things that kind of signaled to them that Harry was okay was that he made friends with the family dog.
Yeah,
and he could understand to be gentle with it. Yeah. And there's a whole scene where the mom Nancy teaches him stroke it, gently.
It was very much like you do with the toddler, gentle hands, soft hands.
Yeah, because the first time he sees the dog, he just picks it up and face claws it.
Yes, that was hysterical.
Yeah, yeah.
And the dog's like,
yeah. He is as upset and as helpless as when I used to face claw our dog, our Yorkie back in the day. So anyway, he tosses the dog, and Harry catches it. Just bare hand catches the dog. Yeah. And it's on. You don't mess with the dog.
No.
And Harry storms over, and he snaps the guy's gun in half, and he throws away his pistol, his rifle, snaps his rifle in half, throws away his pistol. And he's got him, he's caught him. Mm-hmm. And they bring him back to the car, and he brings him back to the car because I guess he knocked him out or whatever. So you bring knocked out people back to the car, top of the car. So they're on top of the car, and the family comes back and finds him there, and George just goes crazy. He's because LaFleur's George is look at him. He's gentle. He's normal. He's not no threat to you. He's gentle.
Let him be.
LaFleur's I'll never stop. I'll never stop. And so George is going crazy. He's you're not going to kill him. And he's kind of banging him against the car. And Harry intervenes.
He kind of puts his hand on George's chest, no.
And he puts his hand behind LaFleur's head so that it stops banging against the car. And, it's that moment
it's
where
the gentle hands.
Yes.
Times,
where he proves, that he is more than human in some ways, I guess you'd say. And I guess this is the thing that LaFleur needed to appreciate the gentle nature of the Sasquatch, because also he shakes his hand, which is weird. He's don't kill me, and he takes his hand and shakes it.
Yeah,
which I don't even remember shaking hands being a thing.
I don't either.
I feel like there's a cut scene somewhere where
I'm sure there's a lot.
he tried to teach him to shake hands or something, because that would go right along with him teaching him to sit, because at one point he teaches Harry to sit. And so, this is it. Like, LaFleur is converted and Dr. Wrightwood is blissful and the family is happy, even if Harry has to leave for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes off into the sunset, into the trees, and suddenly some of the trees turn around and they're other Sasquatches that have been in the shot
the whole time.
Yeah. And follow Harry. So, and there's a little baby Sasquatch. They follow Harry out. So, you get the idea, like, okay, well,
Harry's with his kind. He'll be good.
He's safe. And you get the idea that LaFleur and Wrightwood are going to study them from afar. We do the mega happy ending, basically.
Yeah. Although LaFleur is still a hunter, because he says, what am I going to do now? Oh, Loch Ness.
Right. Yeah. So he's like, oh, no, we'll do the next one.
So next movie is Nessie and the Nelsons. So,
right. Yeah. Something like that. Jacques and the Loch. There you go. I like that one.
Yeah, I do. That's good.
So it's just the mega happy ending for everyone but George and his father. That never gets resolved.
I wonder if there were some cutscenes for that too,
right,
because that was a lot of build up.
Sorry,
for
son,
just
yeah.
And then George started his own advertising firm with Harry as a mascot. I don't know where you go with that, but
yeah. Maybe that's explored in the show, in the Harry and the Hendersons show.
Maybe. Should we do that for our next?
Oh no.
Can you even find old 80s sitcoms? I mean, like the big ones, of course, you can find, but
it depends.
That random stuff.
Yeah, if it was one that was just a syndicated show that wasn't attached directly to a network, probably pretty hard to find. But if it was attached to a network, there's always a possibility. Everybody's got these apps now, and they're looking for content on it. So, like putting all the episodes of Family Ties onto your Peacock app or whatever. I don't know. Is Family Ties an NBC show? I don't know. Putting all those shows onto your platform could help with content. So maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if you could even find Harry and the Hendersons, the show.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there you go, Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
What a fun time. It was fun to watch it with our kid.
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't talk about, we talked about a little bit with our son at the beginning, is Kevin Peter Hall, who plays Harry, and / as we talked about, the Rick Baker Harry suit and the animatronics. Like, it's just bears mentioning again that it was great. The whole thing, the whole suit, and like I said in the beginning, Rick Baker still to this day says this is some of his best work. And I've read other interviews where 3D artists will say the way that they judge how good their 3D is if it's as good as the Harry facial animatronic.
It was really well done. Yeah. Like, and it's to think about, today they would just do motion capture and CGI, and like that's a craft that probably barely exists anymore. It's a little
less and less. And when you do that and it doesn't take, like when someone's like, we're going to full on do puppets, animatronics, stop motion, and then it doesn't hit.
And then people are like, oh, never doing that again.
Okay, well, we're never using stop motion. So it's a huge achievement. Like, because as I said in the beginning, this movie doesn't work if Harry doesn't work.
Right.
And some of that also is Kevin Peter Hall's performance. Because everything I've read about him is like he was just the nicest, gentlest guy, and he, even when he was playing a role like Predator, like the Predator in Predator, it's actually funny because there's a point in the movie very early on where Harry is spooked in the house and he does a Predator move.
I've never seen Predator. So.
Right. So you wouldn't know if you hadn't seen it. We'll see. We'll watch it soon.
Okay. I figured that was coming.
He does this move that Predator does where he kind of bends forward at the waist and puffs out his chest and throws out his arms at the side. And it is so a Predator move. Like, even to this day, actors who portray the Predator will do that.
Oh, that's
that
funny.
Move. Like, it's several of the other Predator movies, long after Hall was gone, did that move. It became like this predator thing, like a show of dominance or like a display of aggression or something. And it was so
like a monitor lizard, isn't that one of the
kind of
ones?
yeah. It was so funny to see Harry do that exact
that is
move.
Funny. That is funny.
But yeah, Kevin Peter Hall, like everything you read about him is he was a great guy, and he did a lot of these roles where you just needed a big tall guy. I want to say he was one of the aliens at some point in Aliens. I don't remember for sure. Okay. Unfortunately he died of AIDS at the age of 35. Oh. So just way too soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, would probably still be going today and be right up there with a few of these other prosthetics guys like Doug Jones and these guys who are just like now finally getting the appreciation that they deserve for their performances. Doug Jones, of course, played the fish man in that fish movie where the lady and the fish got together.
Where the lady bones a fish.
Yes.
And not the way you think. Fish. Yeah. not the former Alabama senator. Different guy entirely.
So just great special effects, great cast, just top to bottom. Just they don't.
Yeah, this was fun.
They don't make family movies like this anymore.
Yeah,
with just real. And at the time, I guess maybe John Lithgow wasn't John Lithgow yet.
Well, it's funny. So I had to look it up when Footloose came out because that was the only role that I knew him for a long, long time. I think he was in Third Rock from the Sun, which was what, like
much later, 90s.
Yeah,
much later.
And then of course he's done tons and tons of other things, but I knew Footloose and Third Rock, and I missed this. And he was so scared. I didn't see the full Footloose until I was much older, but I saw the trailer because my parents would watch like the Siskel and Ebert at the movies. And they would show these scenes. And one of the scenes is where he's, giving a lecture to his daughter and she sasses him and he slaps her. And so I thought of John Lithgow as this big scary guy. And like, had I seen this, I would have I would have grown to like him and appreciate him much sooner.
Yes. Well,
because I think, he does a lot of wacky characters, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's in Buckaroo Banzai, so that's gonna be a thing.
Okay.
So it's
he was in The Crown as Winston Churchill, not wacky. I would pay to see wacky Winston Churchill, but that was not it.
Yeah, but I mean, he is an actor.
He has a range.
He's got a range. He does it all, and maybe not. I don't know if he's as silly these days, but Third Rock and this and Buckaroo Banzai, these are all just like roles that you would that someone with his name wouldn't necessarily take anymore, but he cut his teeth on them.
You kind of don't imagine. Yeah. Oh, he played Winston Churchill and an alien,
right? Like
that's don't see that being the same person.
He was the dad who had his life reaffirmed by a Bigfoot. And Harry and Henderson.
And the prime minister who led Britain through World War II. Same, really.
So the verdict is it's a good one. Show it to your kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think I and a lot of other people our age, you watch movies that you really liked as kids, and then you realize, oh, this is darker than I remember. But this one, I think, if you're okay with a little bit of cussing, and the idea of hunting, it's fine. Like, this is a good one to show kids. There's no sex.
Yeah.
There's not. There's the implied violence of killing an animal, but nothing else. I would say this is a good one to show kids. It's nice to find something from our childhoods that is appropriate for kids.
Yeah, because the PG from about 82 to what, I forget the movie. What was the movie that caused them to make the PG-13 rating? It was sometime in the 80s, I think.
I don't know.
I can't remember what it was, but there's a specific movie. Man, I that's a piece of trivia I should know. But yeah, like there are a lot of those movies they're PG and they should be PG-13, but PG-13 didn't exist yet.
Well, the thing
or wasn't
is,
given out very much.
They say parental guidance, which is, know your children. There are probably some PG-13 movies that Will would be absolutely fine with.
Totally.
And some PG ones that he would not be. So it's, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
But this one, I think you're probably fine.
Oh, yeah. So for sure. So yeah, Harry and the Hendersons, one of my all-time favorites. And,
it was fun.
Yeah, building some nostalgia in our kid for something other than some YouTuber who won't exist in 5 years.
Right. Who will be a milkshake duck soon.
And soon enough.
Will not speak his name.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was fun. So yeah,
It's a
hey,
good one.
yeah, folks, watch this with your kids. It's good slapsticky fun. Interesting to see kids' reactions to swear words, by the way, because honestly, Will and I had a conversation about curse words just the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know why it came up, but I was like, well, there's no bad words really, but I think of words as like spices, and some people like really spicy food and some people don't like any spice at all.
Yeah.
And you just have to know time and place,
Mhm.
So there's no words that are off limits forever. Just, I don't like spicy food from children, basically.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, I think so too. So listen, folks, if you have thoughts about Harry and the Hendersons that you would like to share to us, we would love to hear from you. So you can drop us a line or a tweet. We are on both Twitter and Gmail at YSMY Podcast. That's You Show Me Yours Podcast at Twitter or at gmail.com.
Mhm.
Let us know your thoughts. Have you shown this to your kids? What did they think? Did you enjoy the 80s? Now, we didn't even really get into the 80s nostalgia in this, but
No,
like
there's a
anything,
lot of
it's
it.
a nice,
There's a lot of it.
it's a nice time capsule,
Yeah.
including station wagons. Pour one out for
And
the
glass
station
peanut
wagons.
butter jars.
Yes, and a lot of things.
Jeez.
So, yeah, so let us know what you thought, what your favorite part was, what your least favorite part was. And we'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, please subscribe to us. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
You can't. Please subscribe. Please subscribe to us.
I'm like, Will has taken to talking like Jar Jar Binks, and he says, "Misa, blah blah blah." So yeah, please subscribe. Please subscribe to us.
Yeah, so I went and got us one a Plink. I don't even know about Plink. Plink is a service that basically just gives you a short link that will give people direct links to subscribe to you on their various podcast platforms of choice.
Everywhere.
So check us out on Twitter, and there's a link to the Plink right in the description
Mhm.
there. So
basically, our Twitter feed is like your source for all things us.
our Twitter feed is your source for 2 tweets a week, where I tweet about that week's episode of the podcast.
That's all things us. That's really
that's all we got.
all we got.
So yeah. So it's the whole thing. Like we're pushing this through. We're serious about this. We're doing it, and everybody, they always, if you listen to podcasts, they're always going to say the same thing. They're always going to say subscribing to us on these services really helps, and yada yada, and that's all true. And so if you want to help us grow, subscribe to us
Yes.
so
And
we move up the lists.
Tell your friends. Right now, we know we have listeners on 3 continents. I think we can make it 4. Wow! So your friends in Australia.
Yes, everyone tell your Australian
Please
friends.
tell them, or New Zealand, or Papua New Guinea, or whatever counts as Oceania. So anyway, and so on next episode,
Yes.
I am going to show Dave. I'm very excited about this. I'm going to show him Center Stage. It's all about ballerinas. It's going to be great.
Okay.
It's gonna
I've
be
no idea. I don't even think I've ever heard of that movie before. So.
Wow!
I mean, the name
Okay.
sounds familiar, but I don't.
know
I
you've
couldn't tell you
seen the
anything
ads.
about it. Who's in it?
Well, nobody you've ever heard of except for Peter Gallagher and his eyebrows.
Okay. Is M. Emmett Walsh in it?
He is not.
Oh, damn it.
No.
All right. Well.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. So anyway, tune in next time for Center Stage minus M. Emmett Walsh, and we'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. The You Show Me Yours theme song is Uplifting Electronic Indie by Winnie the Moog from filmmusic.io.